All right, so now that we got our settings all taken care of, we're gonna go and see what all this rigmarole is over here. So in the session, you're gonna have these 5 tracks already loaded up. The first one is this line check. That's what I showed you about before. When you first load it up, it's gonna look like this. It'll be blank. And what you're gonna want to do is you open the routing and see so there's no outputs. But if you copy what I have here, you're gonna want to go to external out, and each one of these you want to set. So first is external out 1, 2. Second one is external out 3, 4, and then you just go in sequence to however many outputs you have. So you go as you see right here, I have all the way up to 26, but I have that already just set just in case I have to use up to 26 outputs. I can't. You can go all the way up to 32. And what I like to do is put this on fast. So then when you press this inactive button, you press active. You put however many channels. So let's say let's do 24. Press this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
As you can
7,
see,
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 1, 2,
so it
3,
goes all the way
4.
up to 24. And so that lets you check to make sure you have your routing correct coming out of your system, and it makes sure that the hardware, the cables are actually plugged into the right inputs on the snake. So this is very good for your engineers, your monitor, and your front of house engineer, so you can make sure that you're at least routed and patched right. So if that's right, if there's any issues later down the line, that means something in the session is not routed to the correct output. So line check helps you check your lines. So that's very important. Next, we have section/loop. So this is literally just so that you can know where you're at in a song, and it's a MIDI channel. So what you'll do, you'll come here, you make a MIDI clip, and you just rename it. So say this is verse, just rename that, and so you know that's the length of the verse. If you in the next section is the hook, so that way when you're in a song, instead of looking at making or looking at a bunch of markers or locators in a song, if they want to say, especially in rehearsal, it's really good for rehearsal. And they say, hey, let's go to the second verse. You already know you got a verse here. Let me see, that's first verse. Copy, duplicate that. I'm renaming quick. I'm doing Command R to rename verse 2. So the artist or the MD says, all right, y'all, look, let's take it from verse 2. You can click here and press play. That's where it's going to start from. So that's what that section is for. This next track is tempo. You can't see what's on it here, but if you press tab, it switches over to session view. There's 2 modes in Ableton. There's arrangement view, which we're looking at now, and then there's session view. The old way of running stems and running tracks used to be from session view. You still can. We don't recommend using this way because it's not linear, and this is more so for loops. But you can loop now in arrangement view, and I like arrangement view better as well because you can see your whole session in timeline format from beginning to end. So this is going to be very important, and that's why I said when you have your stems, you want to know what tempo the songs are in, because this is how we set up our tracks. So, say we have our first track. Um, let's say the tempo is 60 BPM. So we're gonna come over here with tab. We're gonna scroll to 60. That's the first one. You're gonna want to copy that, tab back over, put it on, beat 1. It doesn't matter what bar, just make sure it's on, 1. So we'll start at measure 3. Paste, and then you're gonna want to drag this out the whole length of the song, which once you drag in your stems, you'll know the whole length of the song. Very important step. You want to double click. You see it's warped because it was a short sample, it was warped. This is called segment BPM. Right now, if I press play right here, your tempo is 120. But what we want to do is we want the session to follow this. So we're going to press follow. So now this is the lead. So now when the playhead is on there, you see how this jump up here to 60 BPM. Over here is 120. But watch this. As soon as it hits this, it goes to 60. Now anything that's under this green bar, it's going to, in the session, it's going to be following that 60 BPM. That's very, very, very important, and you want to have that locked to the grid at all times, especially so you don't get off. And when we start placing our stems and placing our click tracks and things of that nature. So next, after the tempo, I'm going to delete that. We have, actually, I'll bring that tempo back. We have right here is click. If you double click here, this is Foundations Light, which is basically it's the MIDI click that I was telling you about that you can get from Will Doggett. And if you tab over again, you'll see right here it says 4/4 just quarters. You're gonna want to copy that, paste that right here as well. So now, what's that's gonna when you press play, you got the click sound. So the reason I use this is because now you can use the click inside of Ableton. You can use that if you want to. I don't like it, and because you may want to switch clicks or you want to speed it up, you want to change the sound of it. And for me, that's just, it sounds more musical. It's because it sounds like an instrument, like a percussion. Again, that's just me. You have the option to use Ableton's click, and you also can use this though and use your own click sound if you have that. So that's the third track. This fourth track is Guide. This also comes from the pack with Will Doggett. It's Cues Light. Again, we're gonna press tab, go over the session view, and you'll see this. It has numbers and you have counts. So let's say we're gonna go right here, chorus. Actually, we're gonna go back to, remember I said here section. We're gonna double click. I'm gonna rename that chorus, right? So you want, the cues are telling you where you're coming into the chorus or where you're going in the song. So we're gonna take that chorus, we're gonna copy, come back over here, we're gonna paste it. It's 4 counts. So I'm gonna measure 20. So when I play this, this is telling the whole band and everybody and the artist or whoever is listening to this track that we're going into the chorus. So we press play.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
That's pretty cool, right? And this is, again, this is before we even bring stems in. I want you to know what you have available to you, because when you're building a playback session, it's not just about dragging in stems. It's about helping the whole team stay aligned, stay on track, stay together, so that everybody can start and stop and follow along the song it as a unit. So these are the first 5 tracks that we have in this session. And then now we're going to move into actually dragging in our songs and setting up the outputs and the routing, and also setting up the sections of the song, the tempo and the click, and also cues if needed.